Hi, it's John again, of course, and we're just continuing where we left off a few moments ago with the previous video. And yeah, the reason I chose this screenshot for today's, big story with that car crashing and exploding in New York, state of New York, but Niagara Falls, New York, so right across the border from Niagara Falls, Ontario. The reason I did this screenshot is because not only does it reference the story, but it also has a great quote. Well, great in a dark way, but great also in a more insightful way, I think, because of what I'm going to say next. And that is, it says it's a vehicle, and it's flying through the air. Okay, so not only did the car crash, but as this headline says, it flew through the air, and they said that on the news as well. They had eyewitnesses that spoke to some of the reporters on the CBC News, where I initially heard the story, on the World at 6 CBC major radio newscast earlier today. That's when I first heard it, and even there they said that the car did indeed fly through the air before it hit and exploded. So that's really, I think, also important. So I think that not only did my brother remote control it and crash it, but he did it in such a way, I guess he had the whole area scoped out because of spying on the area through, maybe hacked Wi-Fi security cameras or whatever. But somehow he must have known that road, or that thoroughfare where the car went down, where it accelerated at the high speed that it did, which I think they said it was in excess, or somewhere around 100 miles an hour, which is like around 160, 170 kilometers an hour. So it was flying. I mean, it was metaphorically flying down the street, high speed, and then it was literally flying. So I think that he chose that particular location and crashed into whichever obstacle he initially did. Maybe an elevated sidewalk or boulevard or whatever. I haven't seen any video on this, so I'm just speculating, right? But even if I did see a video, you probably wouldn't be able to see such small things, or like from an overview or side view. But if he scoped that area out very well, then who knows? He could have even been in there in person to scope it out, right? Months ago or whenever, right? Saving it in his memory or wherever, for a future potential location to cause a crash, right? So basically, I think there's a good chance that that's what he did, that he scoped out the area and he knew which obstacle he should, control the car over at a high speed so as to send it flying, right? Just like on the show, The Dukes of Hazzard, that show from the that adventure show from the 1980s, starring John Schneider and whoever, Tom Wopat, I think it was. It's amazing. I don't know how I remember some of these things. Like, they just come out of nowhere, somewhere in my subconscious. Anyway, on that particular show, lots of times their car, when they'd be speeding along with their, car. I think it was a Charger, that orange one with the 01 on the side door there. That particular car, lots of times when they'd be speeding along, they would jump the car, right, and send it flying through the air. They'd either jump over a police car, to get away from the cops, or they would jump over like some other obstacle, like a ditch or a little pond or something, right? So they would find some elevated piece of land or some type of, ramp, or, if there happened to be a ramp there because there was a construction site on the road that they're speeding down or whatever. But sometimes it would just be like a little hilly part of dirt, like on the road, like a little, naturally occurring speed bump, made out of uneven earth, right? So they would always seem to find these little obstacles in the road that, if they sped over them, which they did, it would send them airborne, right? So, using that same principle, I think that, such particular obstacles can be found, in real life on a road, if, a person was to look for one, long enough, right? And so I think that, and the reason I think my brother would have done that is because by having the car fly through the air, it sort of ties together the two major categories of vehicles that I think he crashes, that he remote control hacks and crashes, right? And those two major categories of vehicles, of course, are aircraft, right? So that's planes and helicopters. And then the other category is surface vehicles, right? So, cars, trucks, buses, trains, right? So by doing it like this, he's combining the two together, right? He's got the surface vehicle acting like one of the aircraft, right? And crashing, right? Just like the aircraft crashed, just like the other surface vehicles crashed, only on the surface, right? So up until now, it was only the aircraft that crashed in the air or on the ground, whatever. But I mean, mostly they crashed, traveling through the air. And then, of course, they might have hit the ground or some other obstacle when they crashed. Usually it was the ground, right? But the point is they were moving through the air. And then up until now, also the vehicles were moving on the surface, right? And then they crashed, right? But now, like it looks like he's combined the two, and he's got the surface vehicles acting like aircraft, right? So I don't know how much more crazier any of this can get, short of a UFO coming down and smashing into my house instead of an airplane, right? Well, anyway, I'll never know, but I guess you guys will. Anyway, I'm still gonna keep the name of my site ifplanehitshouse.org and not if UFO hits, because I'm pretty sure if it happens, it's going to be a plane or a helicopter and not a UFO. Although now the way things are going, maybe it'll be a car flying through the air and hitting my house. Anyway, enough about that. So that's the major story of the day, as we all know by now. But now I want to give you more examples of cars being hacked. Like in the past, right? Like other examples of cars more than likely being hacked and crashed. And then I'm going to get back to today's story and give you more reasons why, indeed, I think it was my brother, beyond the reason that I just gave, right? So let me just let's flip back here to a story from. Okay, this is Okay, so this is a search. This is on a Google search that I did, and it says, cars being hacked, crashed remotely, right? So if you search anything like any phrase similar to that, you're going to come up with similar information, right? I mean, so the reason I chose this one here is because it references a Mercedes-Benz, okay, car, right? As opposed to all the other types of cars, that are susceptible to hacking, right? The reason I'm focusing on the Mercedes-Benz here is because I'm going to discuss next the Mercedes-Benz crash from 2013 from the journalist Michael Hastings, who was killed in a 2013 suspicious crash. And there was a lot of speculation. I believe that, if I remember, that was in Los Angeles. The next couple of pages will give that location to. I think it was LA. Anyway, there's a lot of speculation back then, and there still is, that the car was hacked and crashed. And so if it was possible in 2013, obviously 10 years later now, it's even more possible, right? With more things being computerized and more hackers than ever, etc., etc. So, but I'm just going to read this paragraph now, and then I'm going to flip back to the next page. So basically, that's essentially what this page is the heart of this page. This paragraph here at the beginning there. So I'm just going to read it quickly, so you don't have to. And for the visually impaired. So it says, security bugs let these cars. Start again. Security bugs let these car hackers remotely control a Mercedes-Benz. Few could ever forget back in 2015 when security researchers Charlie Miller and Chris Valasek remotely killed a Jeep's engine on a highway with a Wired reporter at the wheel. That's a reporter from Wired magazine, right? So basically, all they did is they, turned off a Jeep's engine. I mean, that's enough, right? But when you put it together with all the other stuff, coming up in these next documents, and what I've shown before, and what I mentioned before, and on my website, and here, referencing that CBC Marketplace story regarding that car being hacked and remote controlled. Put that together with this next stuff that's coming up, the case just gets stronger and stronger that today's incident was indeed another vehicle being hacked and crashed. So yeah, basically I wanted this particular paragraph there because the Mercedes-Benz, okay? So this is this particular Mercedes-Benz, it was not the one that crashed in 2013, right? This was like another Mercedes-Benz that was remotely controlled by hackers. Okay, so now so going back through this story, we'll get back to that later. Okay, so before, well, there's more documents there about in general hacking, but But we're going to just 1 second here. I thought I had all these in the right order, but I don't. Okay, now here we are. Okay, we'll get back to some of those later. But for now, back to Mercedes-Benz thing, because I showed you the Mercedes-Benz in general. That other one that was hacked. Okay, so now I'm going to deal with the story from the 2013 Mercedes-Benz that it was more than likely hacked. The one that was driven by Michael Hastings, the journalist who died in that crash. So again, I'm going to give you the upper part there, the address bar. Right, so blurry as usual, sorry. Jeez, this camcorder. So computer world there, and I'll give you a quick scan of it in case you want to slow it down and read it yourself, and then I'm going to read it quickly because again this is important information, so I think it deserves more than just a quick scan. And again, visually impaired people are not going to be able to see a quick scan or a slow one. So I'm going to start reading now. Since journalist Michael Hastings' horrible death in Los Angeles, the conspiracy theories have lit up the interwebs. He sent an email with the subject of FBI investigation regarding NSA hours before his 2013 silver Mercedes slammed into a tree and burst into flames. The Los Angeles Times added, the car was going so fast the engine was found more than 100 feet away from the crash. Hastings' email said this is a misprint, sorry, I get it. Okay, the word it was it says Hastings' email said he going to go, but so the word it was should be in there, so I'm going to put the word it was in there that they didn't. Okay, so I'm going to start that sentence again. Hastings' email said he was going to go off the radar for a bit, in quotes. He, in quotes, was researching a story about a privacy lawsuit brought by Florida socialite Jill Kelly against the Department of Defense and the FBI. If the conspiracy theory is true, it might have been easier to assassinate a reporter with a poison-tipped umbrella. A pellet the size of a pinhead containing the poison ricin. It's happened before, and although evidence of that might be easy to miss, it would not be impossible to find. However, former U.S. National Coordinator for Security, Infrastructure Protection, and Counterterrorism Richard Clarke told the Huffington Post that what is known about the single vehicle crash is consistent with a car cyber attack. Okay, I'm going to read that again. Richard Clarke told the Huffington Post that what is known about the single vehicle crash is consistent with a car cyber attack. The car fire was so intense that it took the LA coroner 2 days to identify Hastings' body. But Clarke said a cyber attack on the vehicle would have been nearly impossible to trace, even if the dozen or so computers on board had not melted, which they had. Okay. Now, next page. Clarke said, there is reason to believe that intelligence agencies for major powers, including the United States, know how to remotely seize control of a car. So if there were a cyber attack on the car, and I'm not saying there was, Clarke added, I think whoever did it would probably get away with it. Well, 10 years later, I'm adding this part, 10 years later, they still have gotten away with it, right? It's now 10 years later, and still nobody's been charged or even accused officially, right? So now I'm going to continue reading. This adds another level of interest in the upcoming DEF CON 21 talk adventures on automotive networks and control units that will be presented by Charlie Miller, former NSA and current Twitter employee, and Chris Valasek, Director of Security Intelligence at IO Active. Miller tweeted that Black Hat had previously rejected the excellent car hacking talk and included this video of remotely controlling the steering wheel. Well, I don't have access to that video here. Anyway, I'm just getting the information out here. You can find the video if you like, right? Okay, continuing here. Okay, I'm going to continue the next paragraph starting in the next video because I just have a few seconds left here. Okay, so hope to see you then. Thank you. Bye.